It's a new year and a new chance for you to make a fresh start with your compliance. We're going to be bringing you a daily tip, strategy, or idea that you can use to improve your program. Here's your host, Tom Fox, the Compliance Evangelist.
Day 3, Leadership's Conduct at the Top. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco's speech on FCPA enforcement and compliance laid out the very basics that the key to every company is culture. She stated, "Corporate culture matters. A corporate culture that fails to hold individuals accountable or fails to invest in compliance, or worse, that thumbs its nose at compliance, leads to bad results." From the enforcement perspective, the Department of Justice will be assessing companies for ethical cultures. From the compliance perspective, the ethical tone of a company and accountability all starts at the top, most specifically senior management. The 2020 FCPA Resource Guide stated, quote, "Beyond compliance structures, policies, and procedures, it is important for a company to create and foster a culture of ethics and compliance with the law at all levels of the company. The effectiveness of a compliance program requires high-level commitment by company leadership to implement a culture of compliance from the middle and the top. To assist companies in understanding this requirement, the 2020 update sets out some of the following inquiries. How have senior leaders, through their words and actions, encouraged or discouraged compliance? What concrete actions have they taken to demonstrate leadership in the company's compliance and remedial efforts? How have they modeled proper behavior to subordinates? These requirements are more than simply the ubiquitous tone at the top, as they focus on the conduct of senior management. The DOJ wants to see a company's senior leadership actually doing compliance. The DOJ asks if company leadership has, through their words and concrete actions, brought the right message of doing business ethically and in compliance to an organization. How does senior management model its behavior on a company's values? And finally, how is such conduct monitored in an organization? This means you must document corporate decisions where a compliance solution was proposed but rejected. In other words, is there a business justification for moving forward with the action? If this action occurs, how has the compliance risk managed compliance going forward? Similarly, compliance techniques used should be documented to demonstrate your compliance function has met the requirements of the final question. Senior management must share the same values through operationalizing compliance going forward. Lynn Payne laid out 5 factors which can be used as guideposts to not only set the right tone, but lay the groundwork for senior management to model appropriate behavior. Number 1, the guiding values of the companies must sense and be clearly communicated by senior management in a variety of settings to the entire company workforce. Number 2, the company's leaders must personally be committed to compliance and willing to take actions on their values. This means management must not simply overlook the transgressions of top producers. 3, a company's systems and structures must support its guiding principles, and those internal systems and structures cannot be overridden by senior management without both justification and board approval. 4, a company's values must be integrated into normal channels of management decision-making and reflecting in the company's critical decisions. And 5, managers must be empowered to make ethically sound decisions on a day-to-day basis. This means senior management must fully support and back up such decisions. I once had a chief executive officer observe the following, quote, "You want me to be the ambassador for compliance," end quote. I immediately said, "Yes, that is exactly what I want you to do." A CEO, as an ambassador of compliance, can fully model the conduct that senior management engages in going forward. Another area a CEO can forcefully engage an entire company is through a powerful video message about doing business the right way and in compliance. A great example was CenterPoint Energy's video put out in 2015 after the VW emission testing scandal became public. The video featured the CEO, and he used the VW scandal to proactively address culture and values at the company, and he used the entire scenario as an opportunity to promote integrity in the workplace. But he followed this up by having compliance create a manager's toolkit so that managers could facilitate the discussion of these issues with their employees. The cost for the video was minimal as it was produced in-house, as was the creation of the toolkit. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be back with today's 3 key takeaways. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Well, number one, senior management must actually do compliance, not simply talk the talk of compliance, but walk the walk. The Department of Justice has made clear that it's leadership's conduct at the top that they're most concerned about. So have they modeled proper behavior? Have they tolerated greater risks without greater risk management strategy? Have managers been encouraged, or rather employees been encouraged to act unethically to achieve a business objective? These are all things the Department of Justice will evaluate in management's conduct at the top. 2, you should use your CEO to talk about current events and how these ethical failures are lessons to be learned. We've seen multiple corporate ethical failures over the past years, from Boeing to Theranos to Volkswagen to Wells Fargo. All of these very public events can be utilized to help discuss ethical values in your organization, even if your company is outside of this particular industry or corporate discipline. And finally, how can you use your CEO? Well, why not think of your CEO as a compliance ambassador? It's a great way for the CEO to have an active role. The CEO can do it via video. The CEO can do it when he travels to your various locations around the United States or around the globe. Say a few words about compliance. Be proactive in talking about the integrity, ethics, and values of your organization. Use your CEO as your compliance ambassador. I hope you will join us tomorrow for day 4 of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance program, where we take up moving compliance tone down through your organization. If you'd like information on any of the topics from this podcast series, please check out the Compliance Handbook 2nd edition, available at lexisnexis.com/Fox. This is Tom Fox again. Thank you for listening to this episode of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance program. I hope you will join me for the entire month of January, where I take a look at some of the significant changes in compliance and FCPA enforcement. 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance program is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.